Hey FlossTube Stitchers, welcome back to my channel. This is Shelly at Just Stitching Inc. and I am actually the owner of a full-service counted cross-stitch shop in Northeast Ohio in a suburb of Cleveland called Strongsville, in case you're new here. And I'm calling this one, let's see, it's FlossTube episode 149, and I'm calling it a mix of seasons because there's a little bit of everything in this. It's not really one theme this time. So as you can see, I did not do a video over Mother's Day weekend. I might have been able to squeeze one in, but honestly, I didn't have enough content. And my time on Monday was better spent working on some other projects for the shop. So, and the other thing is I forgot to take a lot of pictures on Mother's Day. So our family took my dad to my brother's country club for the Mother's Day brunch. And it was a beautiful facility. We've been there before, and the windows overlooked the golf course, and it was a really beautiful sunny day. So that was lovely. I think I took a picture of my first plate of breakfast, and then I didn't take any pictures after that. So I didn't have much to show for that. And then we were planning on taking my dad down to the military cemetery to see my mom's memorial stone. And we found out at the last minute, or were reminded, that it's not open on Sundays. Shoot. So we'll have to go on another day and take some pictures for another occasion. So I didn't have any of those pictures either. So I thought, oh, I don't have enough to show, and I didn't have as much stitching done by then. I didn't get as much stitching done in the last 2 weeks as I would have hoped. Part of that is due to staying late at the shop and doing some of these extra projects. And also, my stitching lamp wasn't working. Turned out to be an easy fix. It was just the switch. But I thought I couldn't stitch. And I had my husband look at it, and he ended up opening up the plate, the backing on the switch, and he put it into the on position, and then he just unplugged it. But I guess I didn't really understand what he had done, and so the next night I didn't stitch either, because I didn't realize that I could have just plugged the lamp in and used it. So we're still waiting for the switch, but now I know that he left it in that position so I can just plug and unplug it. But I wasted 3 nights thinking I couldn't stitch. And then on Friday, we got a new dog, a new rescue. So if I have time, I might talk about it at the end or put some pictures. Otherwise, I might save it for next week. So let us start today with a new shop model. Remember, I said I was going to spread them out a little bit, and I chose a Halloween one for today. This is by the Tiny Modernist. It was stitched by the famous Marlene, who loans us all of her Halloween things. I'm going to show it like this so you can get a good look at the frame. I think it's really cool. Now, she never remembers what the fabric was. So sorry if you ask me, I could pass the request along to her, but usually she doesn't remember. But it's a pretty cool lavender with some gray running through it. It's actually just perfect. I don't have the charts in front of me right now. Actually, I think we're out, so I have some on order. So I don't remember what it called for, and I didn't think to look it up first. But anyway, I love it when people change the fabric anyway. So this is really cool. It's called Halloween Crystal Ball, and it comes as a 3-part sal. Each chart is $6, so you can purchase them at a shop like mine, or you can order it directly from the Tiny Modernist as PDFs. Then the next thing I'm going to show you is my vintage stitch, and I was able to figure out the designer and the name of the chart. I was pretty sure that it was a free chart, but I hadn't used it for freebie February yet in the last couple years because I honestly just could not find the chart, and I thought it might not even be free. I might be looking for the wrong thing. I found it on somebody's blog today, and it's called, what is it called? Here's Another Rabbit by Mosey and Me. And of course, that design company is no longer in business. And I cannot find the free chart, but I don't throw things like that away. I checked a whole bunch of notebooks here where I had free charts organized by designer or by theme or holiday or season. I have a couple different ways. I really should reorganize the whole thing, but that's such a big project. But I'm sure I have it at home, so I will figure it out. And showing you will now convince me that I need to spend the time looking for it. So it's really cute. It uses DMC and one skein of Weeks Dye Works in, I think, their holiday collection where they have the threads with multicolors in them. And I don't remember what it was called, but it was just perfect for Easter. So I'll figure it out eventually, but this is still sitting on a shelf in my living room for spring. So I thought I would bring that in today. And then, let's see, we'll move on to my whips. And this one I've shown a couple times, a Mighty Fortress. And I was able to get a few more flowers done. I'm still messing with the leaves. As you can see, I've not tied off any of those tails because I knew right away I didn't like the way they were laying together. So I'm gonna have to think of either 3 different colors or just remove one of them. Probably would be easier just to take it all out and start over than to, figure out where each one started. But that's one of the reasons why I kept the tails that way, so I could find the beginning and the end. But it just, I don't know, it just doesn't look like the front cover, and especially that one, it looks weird. It doesn't even look like a leaf. So I'll probably just continue working on the flowers and then go back to that at the end. And this is 32 count vintage Sahara from Zweigart. And that was from, that was one of the projects from my NYE 12x12, 12x12 for New Year's Eve. Then the next one that I worked on was seasonal etchings. And you've seen this a couple times as well. This was also one of my New Year's Eve starts. And, oh, I forgot to tie down a tail up there. There's a little thread hanging up by the bunny. So I added a few more sections of the sticks and twigs, and I added the flowers on the owl portion of it. And I thought I had started with a fresh skein of sticks and twigs, but I'm not sure now. But even if you do, I would probably have 2 skeins set aside for this project. So I think the second skein that I have, looks like the first one. I think it'll be okay. But just in case it's not, my plan is to do the bark, the trees, and the branches on this part of it, like do a section in one dye lot and then do the next in another and kind of randomly put them in so it's not as obvious. And then the other owl is supposed to be Wagon Wheel, and I think it looks too close to sticks and twigs, so this one looks a little more like an orangey brown, so I think I'm going to pick a different one there. And then I had 2 dye lots of Colonial Copper, and one was even darker than the other, so I didn't like that. I liked the way it looked there, and luckily a newer dye lot that I had at the shop looked more like the original, so I was happy with that. And then I think I waited quite a while for Cherry Cobbler to come in, and it's supposed to be the Cardinal. And I think this dye lot looks okay. I didn't want it to be really orangey red, and I wanted it to not be too close to the Tennessee red clay so you could see that they were 2 different colors. But, I still wanted it to look like a cardinal. So I think I'm happy with this dye lot. Then the last thing I needed to decide was, it called for these issues with this one project, but it's mainly because it's been a few years since the designer did the original series, and then she put it out into one booklet. So her die lots were different than mine. So it calls for Weeping Willow for the middle fish, and I don't like that. I don't know. It looks like sea foam. It doesn't look like the kind of yellowy green that it uses. So these are all pretty close. I'm just going to pick one. I think let's see, am I leaning towards, I think I'm leaning towards Pea Pod, although it's a little brighter than the one in the picture. So anyway, I'm still deciding on that. It's okay. I have plenty of things to work on, and I can procrastinate on that decision if I want to. So that was Seasonal Etchings. And then the other whip really should have been finished, but again, it was another die lot issue. Actually, it's an issue of, I think I lost the first skein I was working with. Yikes. One of you heard that before. This is called Merry Little Christmas. It's a free chart by Sweet Wing Studio, and it was part of my freebie February. And I have this problem of dragging things back and forth for my FlossTube videos, and I'll just slide whatever I'm going to show into like a plastic grocery bag and bring it in. And I usually have all the floss with me, so I keep it together, but every once in a while things get mixed up. So I found the bag that had this Lexington green, but when I took it apart, I realized it's a 10-yard skein that hasn't been used yet. And it's a little bit lighter than that lightest green that's used in there. So I think there's a partial skein of Lexington green someplace, and I couldn't find it. So I'm kind of working all around it. So I did everything except the rest of the letters. I need to do have and self to finish the set. So I'm almost done. So as soon as I find that, because this is not quite the same, and I'd rather look a little longer for the original skein than to stitch something and have to frog it. And that's my husband. Hang on. Okay, that was my bad. I usually call my husband to tell him I'm starting the filming process so that he doesn't call me. So anyway, back to Merry Little Christmas. It has all these white and blue confetti stitches that I'm calling snowflakes, and I wanted to make sure that the white and the lighter parts of the blue showed up on my fabric, which is just a raw linen, but I was afraid maybe a single strand of floss wouldn't show up that well unless you were really up close to it. So I'm doing all of those in Smyrna Cross, so they have a little bit more dimension to it. So I'm basically done, and I could have finished it in probably 20 minutes if I just had found that Lexington green. So hopefully I'll find it, and next time this will be a finish. All right, so I did have a few finishes, and this was one of my freebie Februaries from this year. It's by Lottie Dot. It's called Hand and Heart. The fabric is 32 count Feldspar Belfast from Picture This Plus, and I'm using one of the colors they called for. I'm using Onyx, and because I'm doing it on a completely different fabric than the designer suggested, I had to decide what I was going to use for the second color. And my first thought was to use a light gray. They had used aged pewter, but it looked like it blended right into the fabric, and I thought, well, why bother stitching that if it looks like it's part of the fabric? And then I thought these individual little, maybe, I think they're supposed to be buttons. The button motifs wouldn't show up well, since the lighter color would have been on the outside. And then I thought, well, maybe I should do something so the heart looks like a heart, but not red or bright pink or anything, because this is kind of prim. So I looked over at my tray table that I keep next to my stitching chair, and there was Tennessee red clay sitting there, which was one of the floss colors in seasonal etchings. And I thought it looked good with the fabric. I know, however I finish this, you're not going to see a lot of this, but I did want it to clash with the other colors that were showing up in this, just in case, since I didn't know how I was going to finish it. So anyway, I really like the way those two colors look together. So that's a finish. And then my other finish was something that I started in November of 22. And I was doing Hello Santa from Primrose Cottage Stitches. And if you don't remember, I changed the E and the O a little bit to look more like my handwriting. I thought the O looked a little awkward, and I wanted to give a little more space in that E. So I kind of just drew on some graph paper my handwriting, which kind of looks similar to this anyway, so it wasn't hard to do. And I think I had 2 of the hats done when I first showed it. I might have shown it a second time. I didn't go back and look. I might have had a 3rd hat done. But it's done now. And I did the white first. Even though this is solid red DMC, I just was worried. And so I did the white first. And doggone it, if that red didn't still rub off on some of the white when I added it. And I was using thread conditioner, which I thought would protect some of the color from rubbing off. From a distance, I don't think you notice it. I'm probably the only one that would know where I think it happened. But it's just aggravating. Red and white look so good together, but it's so aggravating. So I think I'm using, let's see. It called for, yeah, I'm using the bright white, and then instead of 816, I'm using Anchor 20, which is close, and I already had it. And then instead of the 986, which is a little brighter, and I wasn't sure it would show up on my, I think this is Valor from Picture This Plus. I wasn't sure the other color would show up, and so I had Juniper, and I actually think Juniper maybe was from another project too that was handy. So anyway, it was nice to finish that. You know how you kind of forget about things if you haven't, if you hadn't worked on it for a while. So that was kind of fun to get that out and finish it. So that was all my stitching. Then I wanted to show you the Atomic Ranch Fabrics Automatic. So the color for May is Eucalyptus. And also to tell you that we have openings because I increased some of the fabric. This is 14 Ada. And it's been described as kind of a dusty minty green. So that's the 14. This is 28 Lugana. This is 32 Lugana. You can see that the Lugana comes out lighter. This is the 32 linen. 36 linen. And 40. So if you're interested, interested in a different count, I just don't know if I'm going to be able to accommodate that because it's almost halfway into the season so far, or the automatic, and it's getting too complicated. Then I have BeStitchMe fabric, and I'm sorry, it's just too much to take out of the bags. I do have one out of the bag. So I got Gray Magic in 14, and I sold a 1/4 yard over the weekend, so that's why this is out of the bag. So that's the 14. And whenever I order from a new company, and BeStitchMe was new for me, I usually try to get a variety of neutrals. Sometimes it backfires on me because people will say, oh, she's got such great colors, what did you get? And I'm like, well, I kind of played it safe, but it is what we sell the most of. But so I get a variety of neutrals, which could include green, blue, gray, but I usually don't get anything wild. And then I get an Aida, a Lugana, and a linen, just to see how the colors play on the different fabrics. So this is 32 Joblin, and she might be one of the few companies that offers Joblin, so I got it instead of Lugana. And then I also got Gray Magic in 28 linen. The next color is Honey, and this is 14 Aida, 28 Lugana, and 36 linen. Then I got Peanut. This is 18 count Aida. $32 Joblin. It's looking beige in the picture, but it's a really soft peach, at least in that particular fabric style. And then 36 linen. Then I have Not Another Sampler, and I thought this would be a good one, so I got it in one more style, I guess. This is 16 Aida. It has maybe a little bit of a gray streak running through it. It looks more gray in the picture than it does in real life. It's a little warmer in person. This is 28 linen. Now this is looking green on camera, but it's not. You know, if I have time, I might try to take a picture under my light box to see if it comes out better that way. And then I also got this in 32 linen and 40. And then the last one is Sand Dollar. So I got that in 18 and 28 linen and 36. All right, so that's that. And then last week's winner for the Hello Sunshine Petites was Charlotte Jorgensen. And she said that when she was younger and the kids were still at home, she would do a really large garden. And one time she went crazy and put out about 100 tomato plants. Whoa, Charlotte. I'd like to see a picture of that. So she's gonna give me her physical address so I can send that to her. And I enjoyed reading, I enjoyed everyone admitting that they're not gardeners, because I'm not either. If I lived alone or my husband wasn't a gardener, I probably would have an indoor herb garden because I do enjoy cooking with fresh herbs, but my mom was a gardener. I just wasn't interested. I was always inside reading or doing some kind of craft, so that just wasn't my thing. But a lot of people said they do perennials so they don't have to worry about it so much, or somebody else in the family is a gardener, or they just do hanging plants from the nursery. But there was another comment that I thought was interesting. Nanette McDougall said, "I'm not a gardener person. I have red hair and very, very fair skin. I mow my lawn at 5:30 a.m. I know my neighbors love me, but they understand." So Nanette, I feel for you. So that's why she's not a gardener. Okay, and then for this week, I had just shown the pun series from Stitchy Pros as my Friday Funny the other day, and I thought, oh, I think I'll give the spring puns away as a gift this time. It's a $10 chart, includes both those designs, Be Happy and Okay Bloomer. So just say something about spring, what you like about spring or whatever, and I'll put your name in the drawing for that. And remember that it's US stitchers only. Sorry, there's just too many complications. I'm just one person, and shipping is expensive, even for just a chart like that. When I have done overseas, the shipping has been way more than the worth of what you're getting, whether you paid for it or whether it's a free gift. So, you know, sorry, it's just how I have to do business. So US only. Okay, I've got some editing to do. Not too much. I had just a number of stops and starts in the beginning. So I'll try to get this up tonight, and then I hope to see you next Sunday. And happy stitching, everyone. Thanks for watching.